The life of a gypsy. The only home Ray Van Horn knows is his trusty RV. He crisscrosses the United States from the streams of Montana to the waters of southern Florida and destinations in between and beyond. It's the life Ray loves. It's the life of a gypsy angler.
Man, we had a couple of extra days to fish and to film, and I was sitting there thinking, goodness, I wonder who I could get to come over here and fish with me. Bernie Schultz in Gainesville, 45 minutes away. Called Bernie up. He said, absolutely, I'd love to come over and catch some big redfish. Bam. We got to the ramp in the morning and it was 180 degrees different than the day before. And that's weather in the wintertime in Florida with an El Nino especially. So, I mean, it was bright and sunny, the wind laid down, and it was just beautiful. The conditions were fantastic. The water was clearing up, and it was setting up to be a pretty cool day. Bernie, you and I go back, God, 30 plus years.
Probably
maybe
close
more.
to that, yeah. Scary. Long, long time.
So we originally met because of the Ranger Boat Company. We've both been with Ranger for at least that long and probably longer. And back then I fished the BASS Tour, and you're an anomaly because, man, you've been fishing BASS for 35 years, fished the Elite Series now, which is as good as it gets. And a lot of people may not know, but you're one heck of a saltwater fisherman.
Yeah, well, I had the benefit of growing up with relatives that fished. My grandfather was a saltwater fisherman, my uncle. My dad owned a fish market in Miami. And the guys that supplied his market would take me fishing from time to time. So, you know, when I was really young, I had an early indoctrination to saltwater, and I've kind of bridged the two over the last 100 years.
Well, at the end of the day, it's fishing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, fish are fish wherever you go, and you're like me. You like to try and fool them with artificials, and that's the kind of the beauty of sight fishing in saltwater, freshwater, both. I just like that aspect of it.
Well, we're going to have great conditions today, and we're always subject to weather, as you know. I mean, tournament fishing or trying to film this show. But I think it's going to set up nicely. We have a lot of options. We brought the old long rod along with us today.
Yeah, we did, and we got the weather for it. I mean, the weather's been kind of iffy lately, but today looks good, so maybe we'll get some on fly.
Let's go try it, man.
All right, brother.
Well, Bernie, it looks like we're going to have good visibility. We got a lot of sun, and I never get to fly fish, so I'm glad that you volunteered to pull me around a little bit. And as soon as I catch one, I'm going to swap out with you. How's that?
That's a deal.
It's about 8:15 in the morning. Hopefully, we're going to see some sheephead and some drum and hopefully some redfish tailing. And I've got a crab fly tied on. Bernie's been so kind to pull me around, which I don't get to be up on the front part of a boat very often. So that's going to be a cool deal. Man, I wanted to catch some of these fish on fly so bad I could taste it. I don't get the opportunity very often. And there were tail and sheephead everywhere, and they can be real picky feeders even with live or cut bait. They wouldn't eat any of my shrimp flies. We didn't see any redfish pushing around. And I said, we're just gonna have to go blind casting, and I didn't want to do that with a fly rod all day. So I laid down the long rod, and we picked up the soft twitch baits and went to work. I wonder if them dadgum sheephead were nipping at that thing. The sun's getting a little higher. It's almost dead low tide, so we've moved out way off these oysters, and we're gonna fish some of this spotty bottom out here with some soft baits to see if we can't pick up a few. Got him? All right, burn.
That's a redfish, I think, or maybe a good trout. Pretty nice trout. He tire himself out a little bit.
Pretty nice trout there, Bernie. He ate it pretty good. That's a nice one. Don't let him whoop you.
Nice trout, Ray.
This is a good one. There's so many trout up here that size. Good 2-pounder.
Yep. First blood.
So we're sliding out with the tide, trying to find that little deeper groove, and all of a sudden we blow out.
There you go. Oh my God, what a redfish. Way to go, Ray. Woo, buddy.
Orca.
Dang, what a redfish. Way to go, bud.
Woo! Rusty in the house.
Whole big flat to play with here.
This is Louisiana-like right here, buddy.
I mean, we get them here, but it's not common.
I'm gonna be here a while, folks. Well, Bernie, as you know, what happens on this fallen tide, these fish move out and they stay adjacent to the onshore cover that they'll inhabit on the incoming tide, but they don't go very far.
Brother, that is a grown redfish right there for Cedar Key.
That may be the biggest Cedar Key redfish I've ever caught in my life.
You think he's ready?
Yeah, I know he's ready.
Look at the size of this redfish. Woo, now.
Dude!
I'm telling you, that's grown, buddy.
He's as long as my frigid rigid, and that's 36. Dude.
That is a freaking redfish right there. For Cedar Key, they don't get any bigger than that.
Look at that big old pig.
Nice job.
That's about 10, 11 pounds. I'll tell you, I'm gonna measure him.
Okay.
Because my frigid rigid is 36 inches long. He's 34 inches. That's 36 right there, all the way to the tip of the tarpon tail. That is moo cow. Yeah, I got 15 pounds in my hands. I'll tell you what, that, he didn't want to hang out much. That was a good old bacon. Whew. Probably the biggest redfish I've ever seen in Cedar Key. The thing was a 4-footer. Looked Jurassic, looked like something from Louisiana misplaced.
The Gypsy Angler with Ray Van Horn is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Evinrude E-Tech, 300 hours, no dealer scheduled maintenance. Camp Light Truck Campers, no wood, no rot.
So that tide started to come in about 11:30, quarter to 12, and there was one spot where these big fish like to hang out. And there's a big oyster bar, a submerged oyster bar, adjacent to a visible oyster bar that's dry. And there's a little saddle in there, and we were gonna work around that edge and see if we couldn't find a big fish. And we started seeing sheephead move off, and then we saw a bigger mud. And Bernie made a long, long cast over a big pothole, and I said, man, I thought I saw something in that pothole a few seconds ago.
There he is.
Oh, you got him, Bernie! You got him, dude! Sure enough, Bernie threw into that pothole, and he hooked a good fish.
Big old redfish, Ray. Yeah, he's got me wound up in so much stuff.
You got him?
He's got me right now.
Oh, he's a big old thing.
Oh, she might want to come over here. Hear him bumping the bottom of the boat.
How long of a leader do you have on there?
How long's your gripper is a better question. Nice. Nice.
Long enough to get this dog.
Whoo!
Sweet, buddy.
Damn. Not quite as big as yours, but that's a big, big redfish there,
That's
buddy.
top of the slot right there. God, that's a beautiful fish. Look at the colors on that.
Well, it gets anxious, you know, when you're in an aluminum boat, you're not sure what the bottom looks like after rubbing these oysters, and he's rubbing the bottom with your line, so we made out all right, though.
That was a gorgeous fish.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
So totally different than the day before. Conditions, I mean, it was just picture perfect. I mean, it was like summer hot. The wind laid down, it slicked off, the tide started to steam in, and we just got on the trolling motor and started fishing all the points of these bars.
You're ready. Thanks, brother.
Good job, man. All right, now you watch this footage. You saw me in an aluminum boat. The first time ever that I have filmed out of an aluminum boat. And I thought, man, I don't know, aluminum, and they sent me a bass boat because, we're gonna do a number of shows, some freshwater, some saltwater. And I think Bernie was pretty impressed with it too. That thing goes skinny and tough. Ranger only knows how to build them one kind of way, and that's the best boat built. And I can make a case for that if I wanted to run an aluminum boat full time. They're very cost effective, they're very durable. You can take them over that limestone substrate. They're all welded chines. That boat's all welded, there's no rivets. Tough as it can be. It's just amazing how shallow it floats. And that little jet drive, You know, I wanted to try that jet drive for a reason. That whole area is limestone substrate. The bottom's real close to the top. It's shallow. And I guarantee you, I've had my Phantom up there in the past, and I've dinged up my prop and damaged my Skag. Didn't have to worry about it with that little jet drive. That's the place for a jet drive. Cedar Key is a very diverse ecology and fishery. Sure, you can go out to the outer islands, and it's as pretty as the Keys down south when you get down around Islamorada and Tavernier and Marathon. I mean, it looks just like that. The water's clear, plush turtle grass. Then you go north of that, or you go south of that, and there's oyster bars and Spartina, and it looks very Georgia-like or Northeast Florida-like. And along with that comes that limestone rock. And you can be 2 miles off the bank on a low tide, and there's a big chunk. And I guarantee you, I've got my name on 4 or 5 rocks up there. And it's kind of nice to fish out of aluminum jet drive where you, quite honestly, you don't have to worry about that as much. So my recommendation to you is go there, be a little intrepid if you're going to take your boat shut down way out off the bank and idle in or use your trolling motor or pole in. Or better yet, call up some of my buddies that guide up there. I've got some great friends that guide up there. You know, I'll tell you what, I'll post them on our website. The Keith family guides over there, the Danny Allen guides over there, all great guides. Know that area intimately all the way from there, from all the way to Yankeetown, all the way up to Sewanee and that whole area. So you want to learn that area, learn it with an expert, and I highly recommend those guys, Jimbo and Jim Keith and Danny Allen. They're great guides.
The Gypsy Angler with Ray Van Horn is brought to you by St. Croix Rods. Fish now, do everything else later. Frigid Rigid Coolers, the last cooler you'll ever buy. Miro Lure, turn on the bite anytime, tie on a Miro Lure. Torque Lift International, the camper tie down and suspension of Gypsy Angler.
It was just a beautiful day. I mean, it's the middle of December, it's almost 80 degrees. The water temp was 75, 76 degrees, middle of December in Cedar Key. I can't remember the last time that happened. So the whole key to fishing the tide is to move with the bait and to move with the fish. And it's not that difficult. You do a little homework, you kind of find the grooves, you kind of know exactly what their comfort level is as far as water height. And the key areas for the bigger fish were right on these tips of these oyster bars with that current whipping around the edges. And they use it just like anything else, a little bit of a current break. They just sit there and wait for a mullet to come by and reach out and get one. And those soft plastic twitch baits, I'll tell you what, you can make a case for that bait being the perfect search tool in this situation, because they, for whatever reason, they didn't want a regular topwater. But that soft plastic twitch bait, you could twitch it a couple times and it would sink down a little bit. And that's all it takes. It sinks down an inch or two, but it's still very, very snagless when it gets to the oysters. And I made a cast off of an oyster bar end, and I gave it one twitch, and man, I bowed up on a pretty good one.
Got him. Big one. Big one, Bernie.
Nice. Nice.
Whoo.
Oh, that's pretty.
We may want to do something to stop this boat.
Look at it, he just coughed up. Look what he just coughed up a mullet. Look at that. Big mullet he just
big
coughed
mullet.
up. He coughed up a pound mullet, dude. Man! That's 40-pound leader. Just grab the leader, double wrap it around your hand. Yeah, baby. Whoo!
Another nice one. Hooked him in the lower jaw.
Exhaled him.
Look how fat that fish is. And that's after coughing up a pound mullet.
Coughed up a pound mullet and then said, I'm gonna have a little cherry on top of my key lime pie.
Nice work, right on the tip of that bar, incoming tide.
Working its way in. Beautiful fish, look at that. So I'm checking out this fish I've got hooked up, and they are so dark. And typically they get a lot brighter orange in the wintertime. It's just not wintertime yet in Florida. It's coming, I know, but timing wasn't right. I mean, usually this time of the year, the water's clearer, the fish are more vibrant, they're bright orange, almost Louisiana-like. These fish are very, very dark, almost, you know, summer, fall type colors. But the thing that was amazing to me is that redfish is about like that, gets to the boat and chucks up a mullet this big. Regurgitated a foot-long mullet. I don't think you can throw too big when you're trying to get a good redfish, so that was pretty cool.
Bye-bye. Nice work.
Dude, that was fun.
Nice work.
That was fun. Whew. And that's why you fish hard. I love this time of the year because the water's starting to cool down. It's not in the mid or high 80s anymore. You know, the hotter the water gets, those fish get a little lethargic. There's a little less oxygen in the water. And they get stressed just like anybody would. So when that water starts to cool down, they get a whole nother gear. And I'll tell you what, we got those fish by the boat. Had Bernie not grabbed that trolling motor and jerked it up off the bow when he did, I know that really big fish I had probably would have compromised us. You know, Bernie's a tournament guy, quick on his feet, knows exactly what to do. You know, there's a lot to catching fish. Set yourself up for success, not failure. I was, you know, glad he was quick on his feet because that probably saved that fish.
The Gypsy Angler with Ray Van Horn is brought to you by ProCure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective. Blue Point Fabrication, if you can dream it, we can build it. Dick Norris GMC, the preferred truck dealer of the Gypsy Angler. Bob's Machine Shop, go fast, go shallow, go efficient.
The delivery system for this show with Bernie at Cedar Key, I wanted to make some really, really long casts, and I wanted to do it with some light, soft plastic. So when the water was super, super shallow, I was using two different baits. I was using L&S Lure Company, that's Mirror Lure, by the way. They have a bait called a Provoker, and this is a 5-inch bait. It's got kind of a thick body up here and then tapers down to a narrow tail, and it's got a slot and a rigging slot on the back. When it was super, super shallow, I would rig this with just a hook. There was no weight on this, no keel weight on it whatsoever. And I also used, it's called a Little John XL. It's about a 4 3/4 inches, 4.5 inches long, and it's a little more round and it has a little more weight to it. So both these shapes did really, really well. And I use these two colors. This whiter color is called Opening Night. And then on the XL, that bait is actually called Golden Brim. And again, it's got a rigging pocket and a slot on top where these baits go through oysters and lay down trees because they're very, very snagless, okay? You can rig them that way. So when the water got up a little bit, then I added a belly weight so it'd get down in the water column just a little bit. So you can go subsurface with this, with the keel weight, and then if you want it to stay up on top a little bit more, then you rig it without the weight, just a rigging hook, and you're gonna have fantastic luck with these two baits right here. The delivery system, St. Croix, medium action, 7.5 foot, medium action. The new Avid series, lightweight, sensitive, cast like it's a cannon, literally a cannon. And then the reel is a Canyon 3500 spinning reel, super smooth drag, and that's it right there. Ooh, that's a nice trout right there, buddy. Man, I'll tell you what, we go back a long ways, Bernie Schultz and I. It's got to be 30 plus years. It may be 34. That's how long I've been at Ranger, and I can't remember being at Ranger and not knowing Bernie, and he was running a Ranger too.
That's not a puppy red?
No, well, maybe. Looks like a trout.
It's a puppy
no,
red.
No, it is red. There's so many great, talented anglers at the Ranger Boat Company, and Bernie's one of them. I mean, how long, you think about careers in professional bass fishing, that guy's been doing it over 30 years at the elite level. You know, and I'll tell you, that's a testament to his athleticism, his desire, his passion. You know, you hear me talk about it all the time, about the passion that it takes to be successful in this sport. And I like to surround myself with passionate people because it's, you don't get this day back.
This is what they start out as. It's a perfect scale.
Now, did you want us, Bernie, did you want us to edit that bigger redfish out and put this one in?
No, this is cute. This is like a perfect scale model of the ones we caught earlier.
That looks just like a redfish, but smaller.
He's cute.
Bernie actually talked me into staying, and I was ready to take off and go somewhere else. And he goes, no, I think we got a window. So it was absolutely spectacular. Beautiful weather, beautiful conditions, some great, great fish, and most of all, I got to spend a day with a friend that I've had for over 30 years.